Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest episode of The Huddle. I'm with Melanie Ellis, partner at Northridge Law. Melanie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all. Obviously, you've featured in Gambling Insider magazine before, and today we're talking at the Kindred Sustainable Gambling Conference. Maybe if I could ask you a quick couple of words on what this kind of event means to you from maybe a lawyer's perspective, but in general also just as a member of the industry.
Sure. Just generally, it's always really interesting to come to this sort of event and hear from sort of a range of speakers from different backgrounds. Particularly we just had a lived experience panel, and I think that always just gives you a sort of a fresh perspective sometimes on the work that you're doing to understand, where people are coming from who may be affected by gambling harm. So just a sort of a catch up with others from the industry as well as hearing from people with different perspectives.
Yeah, and in terms of your experience and your journey, can you walk us through the kind of work you've done and what's maybe led you to where you are at the moment?
Okay, well, I've actually always worked in the gambling industry as a lawyer from the very beginning. So starting from when the Gambling Act 2005 was first coming into force in 2007. So I guess that ages me a bit. But yeah, so I've been working in the industry right through from sort of the outset of online gambling and taking that through the changes in 2014, obviously with the point of consumption rules, all the operators having to become licensed by the Commission to sort of where we are today with the white paper, new reforms coming out. So.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, a lot of change in that time, although, as many have pointed out, there wasn't actually that much, clear legal change since the Gambling Act 2005. Hence, we had the white paper well overdue. Sure. From your perspective, there's a lot to discuss, but overall views of where we're at the moment.
Okay, so we're at a bit of a difficult time at the moment, really, because we've got a bit more certainty about the direction of change now that we've had the white paper, but it's a bit of a waiting game now, isn't it? As the various consultations coming out of the white paper are still going through, and that is taking some time, as would be expected. So, I think to an extent, operators, my clients, are trying to gear up to those changes, but they're still not entirely certain the detail of them. So it's a slightly difficult time for the industry. But yeah, and hopefully in the next year or so we'll start to get to a more certain point in terms of what the rules and regulations are. Yeah,
in terms of how the regulator, the Gambling Commission, is managing the process. I spoke with Tom Banks earlier, and I put to him very much he agreed that they're engaging a lot more now with the industry.
Yeah, sure.
And I think I used the phrase firm but fair with Andrew Rhodes in particular, who spoke at the Betting and Gaming Council AGM, which was no one from the Commission had done that previously.
Yeah.
How would, from your point of view, how would you sort of rate the Gambling Commission's managing the process, but also that increased engagement with the industry? Yeah,
I certainly appreciate this increased engagement. We really felt like we went through a period of a few years where the Commission wasn't really listening to operators and what their concerns were. So I think that, yes, now we're seeing more from Andrew Rhodes. That's great. And also I just really get the sense that the Commission is listening, not necessarily responding at this point to what concerns are that may be raised, but they're certainly engaging with operators. We saw them at ICE, for example, going to some of the stands and actually meeting with sort of senior managers from some of the operators to just understand what issues they're facing at the moment so they can take that away. So yeah, certainly I think we're in a much more positive place, and we've got the industry forum that's just been set up, which again just demonstrates that I think the Commission does want to hear from the industry now. So yeah, hopefully continues in that way.
Yeah, in terms of the specific areas, I'd say there's plenty. Obviously, affordability checks are taking a lot of column inches, a lot of headlines. Yeah. From your point of view, where are we there, and potentially what could be done better? I'm almost hesitant to ask because it's just such a complicated topic.
Yeah, I think the issue at the moment is there is just still this real uncertainty about what operators are supposed to be doing now. They're not even sure now, are they supposed to be doing affordability checks or should they be doing financial risk checks, and what levels should they be doing those checks, because we've had guidance from the Commission a few years ago that it should be based on average discretionary spend. Seems to have moved on from that, but there's been no sort of really clear guidance on what we should be doing at the moment. So that in particular, once the new thresholds and sort of methods for financial risk checks come into force, that will be, I think, good news for the industry, because they'll know what they need to be doing when. In terms of other things coming out of the white paper as well, I think the new stake limit for online slots will be a really big development. I do have some concerns about that, sort of really stemming from those customers who may be looking to stake higher amounts. They're the customers who are probably more likely to be at risk. Are they going to take that business elsewhere to offshore operators? So I think that's a big area of concern for me, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's always the kind of the fundamental debate, really. How responsible and how well regulated you make a market without because if it pushes players too far. There's been a new survey recently from the Gambling Commission as well. I understand you have some thoughts on it. On there's been a lot of discussion about the use of data, and certainly when it comes to the Gambling Commission for years now, just in general even.
Yeah, I mean, I start from the fact that I think it's really important that the Gambling Commission and the government is able to evaluate the impact of the changes coming out of the white paper. And in fact, there was a blog post from the Commission yesterday indicating that they do propose to use data to sort of come back and look at what the impact of the changes has been. But we have a completely new survey methodology, the Gambling Survey for Great Britain, that is going to become, or it has become, official statistics now. The full data set will start to be released from July with data for problem gambling. It looks like we're going to have a very different measure of problem gambling rates coming out of that survey than we've had from the previous official statistics from the NHS Health Survey and the Commission's own telephone surveys, which it did for a number of years. So that puts us in a bit of a difficult position, I think, in terms of evaluating the impact of changes. We'll have this one baseline from the new survey in July, which will be before things start coming into force. But this is from a new survey method. The pilot stages of it have, again, revealed quite different rates for problem gambling. So how much confidence do we have that this data now from July is going to be a good baseline, and we're not just going to see fluctuations in that data from the survey methodology? If we see them, are they due to that? Are they due to one of the changes from the white paper, or all of them, a combination? I think that's going to be a challenge going forward, which, given how important it is, we make all these changes that we know, have they been effective? Have they actually served to help people? It's going to be difficult to do that.
So potentially to put you on the spot, and you may not have the overriding answer for this, but how do you reduce that uncertainty? What is something that the Gambling Commission or the wider industry or even the government could do to help in this situation?
I think if it was up to me, I would want to continue with probably the NHS survey data as the official statistics for now, until the new survey method has been properly evaluated and tested. There were a number of measures recommended by Professor Sturgis in his review of the new survey method. He recommended the Commission go away and do some further research to test the reliability of the data. They're not going to do that before they get the data out in July. So if it was up to me, I would stick with what we've got. We've got a sort of a long-standing history of results of data about problem gambling, and then we can use that much more effectively to track changes from the white paper.
Yeah, fair enough. If we're looking at next steps, obviously it's not necessarily in your hands or the operator's hands. It's with the regulators, with the government. But
Yeah.
what are you and perhaps some of your clients looking for as the next steps? As obviously we have myriad consultations. We've had some as you say, the stake limits have come in, but there's plenty to come. What's next basically on the horizon?
Well, the next step for quite a lot of the main measures from the white paper is we're now waiting for responses to consultations and final proposals. So this is the actual text of the LCCP provisions that will come into force. This is a text of the new regulations. So we can then actually look at that and begin to try and implement that into operators' policies and procedures.
Mm-hmm. And are you hopeful of perhaps let's say by the end of 2024 we'll have a bit more clarity that you kind of operators will be seeking?
Yeah, I hope so. So when the white paper first came out, the government said we're hoping most of these measures will be enforced by summer 2024. That doesn't look very likely now, but perhaps we've slipped by around 6 months. So. I'm hopeful that over the next few months we'll start to see those actual draft regulations and LCCP provisions.
Sure. Well, Melanie, thanks very much for your time, and best of luck. A lot of change, a busy time in the industry for sure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.